Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man video. We are playing Hollow End, and this time we are running up against Tron. I believe it's mono green Tron. This hand is not great, but it's not terrible. Faithless Looting certainly goes quite a long way in helping us out. So, thought about Faithless Looting there, but I think we're just going to wait, cycle the Carabid end of turn, and see where that gets us. So Carabid draws us into a Deadshot Minotaur. Punt plays Urza's land into Chromatic Star, which makes it very clear what they're doing. We are going to cast a Faithless Looting here and probably pitch one of the living ends and a land, I guess. Probably the best way. Sorry if you can hear a dog whining in the background, that's our neighbour's dog. So, I'm going to cast Looting. That manages to find us 2 hollow ones, which is pretty nice. End up keeping the land there. I'm not sure if that was worthwhile necessarily. We've got, so I'm going to drop 2 hollow ones on turn 2, which is nice. I'm going to attack for 8 here. Has an Urza's Mine, which means that they might be well on their way to Tron. Natural Tron as well, I think. They haven't actually cast anything. So yeah, our opponent has Natural Tron on turn 3, which is not great for us, as you're about to see. So they play World Breaker, which takes one of the hollow ones, and obviously makes hollow one a lot less effective on the battlefield now. So we're going to see if we can get past this. We draw 2 Deadshot Minotaurs. Again, I keep the lands. I think I probably keep the lands too often overall, because they're not doing a whole lot for us, but it does allow us to cast a Flame Blade Adept here, which can attack through this World Breaker. Flashback, Faithless Looting, pitching Syrian Spirit Guard and a Mountain, keeping the Cycler in the Carabid here. We can attack for 3, put our opponent to 9. Opponent puts a Fate counter on the World Breaker, so now he can one-sided Wrath our board. So, trying to attack for 6, opponent's going to use the Oblivion Stone. Here we've got an opening to combo, so we're going to cast Living End off Electro Dominance, although what I didn't pay attention to was that our opponent had Scavenger Grounds on the battlefield, which I should have noticed. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference because I think we were pretty dead here anyway, and we kind of needed to kill the World Breaker. But I suppose maybe we should have waited until a more opportune time. Maybe our opponent would have tapped the Scavenger Grounds. So opponent gets back with the World Breaker with Urza's Tower, Cracked Sphere, recasts World Breaker, taking a land, plays an Expedition map. We draw Electro Dominance, but yeah, that kind of wraps things up for us. Yeah, I suppose I should have waited on the combo and seen if our opponent ever did tap down the Scavenger Grounds, but I think if they ever did, we would have probably been in a lot more trouble. So yeah, maybe we should have waited on that. It's a bit of a misplay. Certainly would have worked out pretty well if we had managed to hit that living end at that particular time. And yeah, we just need to watch out for Scavenger Grounds, I guess, from them. Okay, so here we are, game 2. So this is our opening hand. It's a little land heavy. I'm not in love with it, but it's just about keepable. Opponent leads with mine into Chromatic Sphere, which is going to cycle a Ceradon end of turn. An Orobrask, which isn't particularly great. Faithless Looting only hits us into 2 more lands, which is pretty painful. So, guess we're going to pitch some lands. Opponent cracks a couple of eggs and finds a relic. which also isn't very good for us, given that we haven't found a threat. And we're kind of leaning into trying to combo off here, I imagine. There's the combo, so I decided just to go for it here, because we're probably never going to get a better chance to use this combo, given our opponent's got a relic in play and we haven't got any way to answer that currently. So, Electro Dominance for 1, ping our opponent down to 19, and put the Ceradon onto the battlefield. It's not the best, but I think it's fairly good. I mean, we've got 6 power on the board, and that might be able to help swing things in our favour. So we're going to hit for 6. Our opponent plays an Oblivion Stone. Thankfully, they don't have Tron yet, and don't really have a way to get there just yet. We're going to cycle this Faithless Looting, as our opponent didn't empty our graveyard as of yet, which we're certainly thankful for. So, I mean, we're not too far off casting Urabrask, which would be fairly good, but let me see how we went here. Yeah, I ended up pitching Urabrask. I think maybe we should have just pitched the Ceradon, potentially, and tried to push for casting Urabrask, because attacking for 4 haste is pretty nice. Not sure how the best way that should have gone. So we are going to get to attack for 6 here again. Opponent plays Sanctum Vugan again, not quite on Tron just yet, and seem to be lacking ways of getting there at this moment in time, which something we won't be complaining about. We have got our opponent down to 7 here. Opponent finally relics, and then finds a Sylvan Scrying to finish off Tron, which could very well be problematic for us, but we've got stuff going on for sure. So this is a Worm Coil Engine, which is a big problem if it starts hitting us. So here is what I've decided to do, although there are potentially a few angles of attack. Worm Coil Engine obviously also good against Living End, in that it still leaves its tokens behind when it dies, either way. So what I decided to do with our opponent down on 7 is I'm going to use Electro Dominance as a burn spell, but also to cast this Flameblade Adept, which I didn't cast earlier because I did think about this potential line, and also we've got this O-Stone which could have been used to try and kill our guy. So here it's just a question of whether we can actually get to 6, and drawing a Street Wraith is a pretty good start. So lead with cycling Carrot. We probably should have led with cycling Street Wraith, given that depending on what we draw we might want to use our mana differently. So yeah, cycle Street Wraith. We draw Blood Moon, which is very late to the party, unfortunately. Find another Street Wraith. Here we're going to play cycle Ceradon. We found a Faithless Looting, so we're actually there. And we also found the combo as well at the end. So yeah, this worked out better than I could have imagined, pretty much. So we're going to be able to manage to get to exactly 6. And could we have got more? No, not really. So yeah, as it worked out, we got to exactly what we needed. Thanks to Menace, Worm Coil Engine can't block the Flameblade Adept, and we're going to be able to attack in for the win. So a fairly miraculous win here, particularly from a very bad start where we had way too many lands and were fairly swamped. And yeah, also a different way of using Electro Dominance as well. I mean, you don't always have to combo with it. You can use it for other purposes, burning your opponent, and also casting cards that aren't Blood Moon, if you do have the mana to go over X equals 0. So yeah, that's a pretty fun game for us. Okay, here we go again. This is game 3. This hand's not the best. I think I think that's kind of the difficulty with this deck sometimes, because everything cycles. You think potentially, as long as you've got some cyclers, you're kind of digging towards something. But potentially this is a mulligan, given that we know that our opponent's got Relic and other answers that might make this Electro Dominance not work out. But I decided to keep it. I think it's potentially worth the risk. I'm not fully convinced it's a mulligan, but at the same time, it's not great if we don't draw well off the cycle. Cycling creatures. Opponent plays as tower, so could be seeing natural Tron, but they don't have anything else, so that's kind of interesting in and of itself. Looks like we potentially are looking at natural Tron, given they have cast absolutely nothing just yet. And that's also good for us in another sense, given that they definitely don't have Relic just yet. And we've got this Electro Dominance, so I'm certainly looking at potentially comboing here. Seems like that could be the way things work out for us. We plays Oblivion Stone, which is fine. We actually got an Ingot Chewit here, ready to take that out, so that is absolutely fine by me. Gonna cycle, end up picking up 2 lands, which is about as bad as it could be for us, so things are not really looking our way. Got 4 lands in hand. Gonna get rid of this Oblivion Stone now, because we might as well play the Neonate, pass the turn. Gonna place Chromatic Sphere, Forest. There's the Relic, which comes at a very frustrating time when we're fairly all in on trying to combo off somehow. Attack for 1 with the Neonate. Put Scryings, and now has Tron online, so they've got 7 mana up. No, 8 mana, sorry. Exiles the graveyard, plays Karn, ticks it up. Just going to give him one of these lands. Cycle, find the combo. So I'm going to pitch Neonate here, see if we can turn this land into anything. And then here we can either cycle Hollow One, or we can, which was kind of my plan in sacking the Neonate, is to do the combo now. So hit Karn for 1, and then we get 4 power onto the board, which isn't great, but I think we need to do something about this Karn. Whether this is going to be enough is another question. So yeah, I think it's potentially we've already lost this game, but I'm going to cast the Hollow One. I suppose it's a reasonable recovery, given that we can play this Hollow One as well. Opponent plays Nature's Claim to kill the Hollow One. We found Carabid, which we can't cast in this version of the deck because we're all in on red mana. Not that that would be substantially better. Put us in a substantially better position than we are in now. Draw a land again, which is annoying. Put Karn down to 4. Draw Ceradon, we don't have quite enough mana to cast it. Flameblade Adept. I mean, maybe we should have started attacking our opponent's life total, but because we did end up pumping quite a lot of damage into Karn. But if we didn't check it, then I think our opponent probably would have looked at just restarting the game, given that they can start with like 4 lands in play. I actually don't think I've ever had anyone restart the game on me, but I think that would have been pretty bad for us. But I don't know. I don't think we dealt 19 points worth of damage. Oblivion Stones. And yeah, this is pretty much over. Looks like we're just playing this out to see what happens. Is that like Ulamog or something? Yeah, so opponent finds Ulamog with Ancient Stirrings and is going to cast that, which finally does wrap up the game. Happy to play it out, but unfortunately not the best of situations. I suppose if we got to a position where we were Electro Dominancing into Living End again, we would have actually had a pretty sweet graveyard. Although our opponent has Scavenger Grounds, so even that isn't a good out at this point. So yeah, well and truly soundly defeated by Tron there. It's kind of difficult to say if this is a good matchup or not. Certainly if we can be very aggressive and they don't have natural Tron, then that's good, but after that their threats are pretty huge, so it's really kind of a question of how fast they can get online. They've also got other cards that are kind of problematic. Oblivion Stone's a problem, given that they can cast it and just wipe the board post Living End, which doesn't look great for us. And then yeah, main deck Relic is also a problem for trying to combo with Living End as well, and Scavenger Grounds. So they've got quite a few ways to deal with the graveyard. So yeah, all in all, it seems like a kind of a tricky matchup. Certainly if we're fast enough, I think we can beat them. But and yeah, we've always got the combo potentially, which can deal a lot of damage very quickly and wipe their board. But yeah, they've got a lot of difficult cards for us and cards that cause us problems. So it doesn't seem like a great matchup for us.